Hi, I'm Chris Lato from Reaper Films,
And I'm Sean Donahue, Gatorblade Films.
and today we're here to talk about our new $50 film school. Basically, we're going to teach you everything you need to know about making a movie for under $3,000. We're going to teach you about casting. We're going to teach you about finding a crew, budgeting, finding locations, basically being a producer of a movie for under $3,000.
And you will learn all of that in this $50 film school. Thank you.
I decided that I want to be a filmmaker. I want to make a movie. I want to be a star in Hollywood. Well, you got to get started somewhere. So basically, the first step of anything that you do to be a filmmaker is start a production company. So what you're going to need is you're going to need to come up with a name for your production company and find somebody to make a logo if you can't do it yourself. Make a logo for your film company, okay? And then you want to start to get that name out into the world. So you want to put it on social media, you want to put it, email all your family, all your friends. Hey, I'm going to be a filmmaker, this is my film company, and that's the very first thing you want to do. Back when I started, I thought of a name called Reaper Films, and basically I found a guy that was new. He was a graphic designer, and I asked him to make me a logo, and he was more than happy to do it. And that's how you get started.
I started a film company back in 2012 called Gatorblade Films. I specialize in horror films, so I wanted something that sounded horror. I'm from Florida, Gators, so I was like, hey, Gatorblade Films. So as my co-host was saying, your film company, you want to come up with something that sticks, something people are going to remember. Be original. Make sure it's not taken. Make sure it's something that is related to the type of movies you want to make. Like I said, I make horror movies. Went with Gatorblade Films. Got business cards. Never underestimate the business card. You can get these made at Vistaprint. I think I got 100 for $10. You can even get better deals, if you get more. And social media, don't be afraid of Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Get your name out there. Friends you've had for your whole life or new friends, you want to constantly be pumping out your name, telling people what you do, and, get your name out there.
Once you've got your logo and the name of your company made, the next step is to build your brand. So whatever title you came up with for your production company, that is now your brand. And you gotta saturate the market with your brand. So you wanna go on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, whatever the case may be, and saturate social media with your brand. You might even wanna make a little introduction video about yourself to post everywhere, just to get your name out into the market. After you do that, then you might want to maybe make a short film or something to kind of show what you can do. After that, it's all on you to get that brand going and keep it going.
So as I stated earlier, my company's called Gatorblade Films, and I make horror movies. So what I like to do, among going on social media, which is great, I created a MailChimp account. So it's this nice website where you can reach people through your emails. And you want to talk about what you're doing, what you're going to do, what you may have out. Create a short video like we're doing now on your phone and just get your name out and what you want to do and let the people know. You will build a following over time. Even if it's just one person a month, over time you're going to build that. Like I said, I've been doing this for 12 years and I've built my audience according to that, and now I'm able to make a $3,000 movie and make my budget back. So never underestimate building your brand.
Once you have your logo and your production company ready to go, you've started to build your brand, the next step is you obviously want to make a movie. So the choices are horror, comedy, drama, thriller, action. There's so many different genres of movies to make. So you need to decide what drives you. What kind of movie should you make? My advice, horror. Horror is very easy to sell. You can make it with no name talent and still get it picked up by distribution. And they're a lot of fun to make. Basically, I started making horror movies back in 2010, and I haven't stopped since. And that's a great genre to get going on. Simply because of those reasons I just said.
So I'm a little biased. I like horror films, So I suggest you make a horror film. Horror films are easy to make. They're understood in any language. You don't have to know what people are saying to understand it in France or Germany. Fear is fear in any country. So at first you probably want to make a short film. Keep it under 5 minutes, keep your budget low. Make it with friends. You know, if you have a camera and you have editing equipment, start experimenting with it, because that's how you learn. If you don't have that, try to make a friend that has that. There's a lot of people in your area that probably want to do the same thing as you. You just got to seek those people out. And that's part of building your brand, is finding like-minded people that want to make movies with you. So again, what type of movie should you make? I suggest horror because it is one of the easiest selling genres and most understood across the board.
So you've done steps 1 through 3, and you've shot a short film, 5-minute long, 3-minute long, 10-minute long, whatever the case may be, and you started to get that out into the world, and you keep building your brand. Remember, through this whole thing, you're constantly building your brand. The next step is you want to make a feature film. What is a feature film? So a feature film is any movie that is over 45 minutes long. Obviously, Hollywood, they make movies that are hour and a half, 2 hours, sometimes even 3 hours. We're not there yet. So we want to keep our films between an hour and 15 minutes is usually what we will make our movies at, simply because they're small budget, they're indie, you don't have name talent, and truthfully, nobody really wants to watch a 2-hour indie movie. So we get in, we make our point, and we get out. So that's basically what our feature film is. And if you want to make a feature film to get distribution, then again, we suggest that hour to hour and 15 mark. It'll be a lot easier to get picked up. It'll be a lot easier to get into film festivals and stuff like that.
As my friend Chris stated, a feature film is 45 minutes and past. And I would suggest making a movie between an hour and 10 minutes, hour and 30 at most, if you are going to make a feature, for several reasons. A, if you are trying to get distribution, they're not going to want a 45-minute film. I know that's considered a full length, but with streaming and the buyer's market, they want about an hour and 10 minutes. So also, you don't want to make it too long, and this is why. If you're making a $3,000 movie, your budget's going to start to show when it gets longer. You're going to run out of special effects and just, you know, CGI and things that you can maybe throw to wow the audience. When you start running long, it's two people sitting on a couch talking, and that's just not entertainment. So I'd focus on an hour and 5 to an hour and 20 is really your happy place to make a movie.
The next step is a script. So you have a couple of options based on the script. You can either find somebody to write it for you, or you can write it yourself. Obviously, you're just starting out, you're probably not a writer, but you wanted to be a filmmaker, so you obviously have a story to tell. So what I would do is I would get a software, there's plenty of script writing softwares out there that'll properly format it for you. One is Celtic, one is Final Draft, and there's a website called Studio Binder, and they will basically format your script for you. So I would give it a shot first. Try to get some writing done, you know, write as much as you can until you get to a point where you can't write anymore. Team up with a writer and write one together. Or you can hire someone to write it for you, or you can purchase an existing script, whatever the case may be. But that's the next step in the process, is to find a script that you want to make.
Me personally, I like writing my own scripts. I've made a feature-length film where I hired a writer, he wrote the script for me, and I made it. That was fun, but when you get into that gray area where you're making someone else's story, and also you may want to make it differently, and there may be some pushback from the writer. So to avoid that, you can write your own script. Me personally, I'm not a great writer, but I've gotten better at it the more I've done it. You just want to pour those thoughts and ideas onto the paper and just start shooting them. You know, again, write your 5-minute film. See what worked, what didn't, and just take that knowledge and take it to your next project. Me personally, I like writing my scripts because I know exactly what I'm writing for, I know who I'm writing for, and I know how to write for my budget. I know that I'm not going to be able to have a car exploding on screen, so I'm not going to write that in. So I write accordingly to the $3,000 budget.
finding producers. So a producer is somebody that basically puts the whole movie together. They find cast, they find locations, they find crew, they make the budget. Basically everything that goes into making a movie is the producer's job. So what me and Sean have done is over the years, we've kind of merged our talents and we've basically partnered on our movies. So Sean likes to direct, Sean likes to do special effects, I like to shoot, and I like to edit. So we've combined those together on our productions. So basically, we can do everything that we need to do to make a movie.
And it just makes things so much easier when you have a couple people and you have a team. Like Chris and I, we can make a movie with just us. We have other people that we work with. We have DPs we like to use. We have other effects artists we like to use. But because our talents are in different areas, we know what we're comfortable with and we know what we can bring to the table. So when you get out there and make something, try to find like-minded people that maybe like the same thing as you, but hey, my friend Tony is good at shooting a movie, and hey, my friend Benjamin is good at editing a movie. Team up with these guys, come up with a story and work together. This isn't a one-man thing. You're not going to make a movie alone, and it's no fun if you do it that way.
Right.
So you want to basically become the producers of your movie by doing it and learning.
And also what that does is it cuts down on cost. So if you went out and tried to find a director of photography to shoot your movie, they're probably going to want $3,000 to $5,000 to shoot your movie for you. Where if your partner knows how to shoot, you just wiped away $5,000 of debt. That you can make your budget a lot smaller.
And like we stated earlier, Chris is comfortable shooting and editing. I like directing and doing special effects. We both have done a little bit of both, but our strengths have went in those areas because that's what we've done the most. So again, because I can do what I can do and he can do what he does, we've cut a lot of the budget down right there. We can take our money now and use it for food, actors, locations, things of that nature, rather than paying someone to do what we're already doing.
The biggest hindrance in making a movie for everyone is money. Where do I find the money to make a movie? So basically, when I first started, just to throw ideas out there, there's no wrong way to raise money. As long as you can make money coming in to make your movie, there's no wrong way. What I first did when I wanted to make a movie, the very first time I did it, I had a nice dinner and I invited all my friends and family in. We charged, I think it was like $25, $30 to get in, and everybody got a nice chicken marsala dinner. We had art auctions, we had all kinds of fun prizes and stuff to raffle off, and I raised $900 that night, and that basically was the budget for my first movie. Through the years, we've tried different things, and some work, some don't. Now I'm going to hand it over to Sean to teach you about crowdfunding.
I like to crowdfund. I've done it several times and I've had some success at it. So there's a couple places you can do that. Indiegogo, Kickstarter, GoFundMe. Personally, I like Indiegogo. I've done, I think, over 12 different fundraisers, and I've raised anywhere between $3,000 and $5,000 for all of them. So basically, pretty much the budget that I need to make my type of movie. On these fundraisers, you can sell things like your scripts, your movies, your DVDs, your Blu-rays, your VHSs, anything that you can sell to make your budget back. Because what's going to happen is, as you go on, you're going to take that money that you made on your first film, and then you're going to put it towards your second film. All the films that I've made have basically paid for themselves as they go, and I just keep making more movies. So don't be afraid to try to go on Indiegogo. You're not going to know everything at first. It's trial and error. Do the best you can. You have to create some Photoshop pictures of what you're selling. You're going to have to create a trailer. Keep it simple. If you raise $500, you're $500 richer than what you had, and now you have a place to start.
So you've got your script, you've raised a little bit of money, now what do we do? The next thing we do is we're going to find a crew. So on a $3,000 movie, again, the smaller the better as far as crew goes. You don't want a bunch of people standing around on set doing nothing. So we give jobs to people that it's imperative that they do their job. You can have like 5 lighting guys and 4 of them are going to be sitting around doing nothing while one guy's setting up all the lights. So what we normally do for a crew is we'll find one person to run camera, one person to do audio, one person to do the slate, and one person to direct. That's basically all you need to do to make a movie for $3,000. So the first thing you want to do is on Facebook, you want to join all of the groups that are in your area pertaining to film. There's actors groups, there's crew groups. Try to find people that are close to your town or city and post ads. Say, hey, we're shooting a movie on this day, 5-day shoot. We need a camera guy, we need a sound guy, and this is what we're paying you. So curtail it to your budget. If you have $100 to spend on a DP, then that's all you have. And trust me, you will find somebody to work for $100 to make a feature film.
Finding your crew. So going back to social media, there's a lot of great movie groups and filmmaking groups that you can join where you can find DPs, editors, slate, sound, lighting. And a lot of these people are willing to work for free or little money. Those are the people you want to find. And usually those types of people don't have a lot of experience, but neither do you, so don't be intimidated. And just remember, when you get on that set and you're the director, you're running the show. Don't be afraid to tell these people, hey, I need you to move this light over there. I've been on a lot of sets with beginning filmmakers and they just were intimidated by everything. If you're not on a set making things happen, they're not gonna happen. You have to be a little stern with your direction. So if you don't have a professional crew, you can always recruit your friends. If it's a simple job of moving a light from point A to point B, odds are your friend Millie could probably do that. And that's what you have him do. So finding your crew is just basically finding a professional crew or using your friends or finding someone on social media with little to no experience. And that right there will give you a way to make your movie.
You've got your budget, you've got your script, you've got your crew all set up, ready to go. The next step is to find a cast. Who's gonna act in your movie? Similar to the crew, you wanna post in actor film pages. In our area, we got the Tampa Film Network, we got Orlando actors and actresses. There are all these little groups that basically are all actors or all filmmakers. You want to hit the actor groups. Make a little ad saying, this is what, a small synopsis of what the movie is, and then list all the roles that you have available, the age range that you're looking for, the race that you're looking for. If you have roles that have nudity in them, you want to put that this role requires nudity, and you'll be surprised what you get. And again, back to budget, you can find actors to work for free. You can find actors that work for $20 a day, or $20 for the whole shoot, or even $100 a day, or $100 for the whole shoot. So curtail that to your budget. What actors you're trying to get, and if you're trying to make a $3,000 movie, keep that cast small. You don't want to have a script with like 50 actors in it. You want to be in that 5 to 10 actor range when you're trying to put together a $3,000 movie.
Finding the cast. So again, going back to your friends and family, at first, you may not have anyone that's an actor or know anyone. So the first thing you might need to rely on your friends and family to play a medieval times warrior or whatever type of movie you're making. Then after your short film, you learn something with that, you want to seek out maybe a more professional actor. So again, going back to social media, there's a lot of groups where you can find people in the business that just want to get on a project, want to be an actor, want to get their names out there. They want what you want, but on a different spectrum. You want to make a movie, they want to be in your movie. So odds are they're going to do exactly what you need them to do. And as you work with more actors and you make more movies, you're going to find actors that you like and actors that you like working with. And you'll probably transfer them to your next movies and give them other roles. And like I said, I've been doing this for about 10 years. I've got actors that are in just about all of my movies, and I've built relationships with these people over time, and I like working with them and they like working with me. And that's all about building your brand as well, is building a team of people that make your movie.
The next step, finding locations. Now this could be quite a challenge sometimes, depending on what script you wrote. I suggest writing a script around locations that you have. If your dad is a tax auditor and he has an office, make a movie about an office. If you have woods in your backyard, make a movie in the woods. So I would curtail the script around what I have. Now, if you want to make a movie with locations that you don't have, that could be a task. You're going to have to meet people, talk to people. If you see a location that strikes your fancy, go up and talk to the owner of that location and say, hey, I'm a filmmaker. I would like to shoot a movie here. We can shoot off hours. You got to be flexible when you can shoot. You know, they may want you to shoot overnight, and if that's the location you want, then you got to do that. But don't be afraid to talk to people. You know, when you tell people that you're making a movie, you see their face light up because they want to be. Everybody likes movies, so they want to be involved in that, and they're going to be excited to tell other family and friends, hey, they're shooting a movie at my restaurant. So don't be afraid to talk to people and look for that location that's perfect for your script and go and get it.
As my friend Chris stated earlier, finding locations can be a bit of a task. So theoretically, you want to write your movie around locations you already have or that are easy to get. So I think most of my movies are written around locations that I already had or that were easy to get. Now you can write a location in that you may not have, but then you'll have to go find it. So as a producer, this is where the budget comes into play. If you need a restaurant and you can't get it, and you talk to someone and they're like, hey, I'm interested, but I need $100 for the electricity. If you really need that location, that $100 may be worth spending there. So that's just it. You know, free locations are best. Sometimes you have to pay for them, but you need a location to shoot your movie.
Sometimes when you're trying to find a location, you have to think outside the box sometimes. So I just ran into a problem with my last movie, The Cheerleader Sleepover Slaughter. I needed a locker room. And I looked everywhere for a locker room. And the first thing you want to think of is a school. Schools are very difficult to get because you got to go through the county, you got to go through the school board and all this other stuff. So I sat there one day and I'm thinking, who has a locker room in their facility? You got gyms, you got rec centers, you got tennis clubs, you got golf country clubs, you got swimming pools. Everybody I could think of. I just sat there, I Googled it, and I emailed every one of these places. I got a lot of no's, but I found a racquetball club that had the facility that I needed. They reached back out to me, said they would be happy to help me out. I went down there, met with them, and we got the locker room for our movie. And sometimes it's imperative to think outside the box when you're trying to find a location. The next thing you got to do is make a budget. So once you have your money, you're like, okay, I have $2,000 to make a movie. You have to break down every person that's getting paid in your movie and assign a dollar amount to each position until you hit $2,000. Sometimes you want to be under $2,000. You might want to make one for like $1,800 in case something arises that you're going to need, you know, $50 or $100 or whatever the case may be. So again, you want to make that budget curtailed to each position, and you know, we're going to show you right here a budget that we made for one of our movies, and it's going to show you the breakdown of what each position cost us to make this movie.
So as Chris stated earlier, making a budget. You want to assign jobs and to what they're getting paid, and it's going to basically equal out to how much you have for your budget. So if you have $2,000, Sally gets $100 for acting on day one, Billy gets $100 for acting on day two. You want to make sure you don't go over that, as well as having a couple $100 extra just in case something arises. Oh, we need a last minute bucket of water and some Fritos and some other things, and that's going to be $50. You don't want to be on set the day of the shoot and not have the money. So really, if you have $2,000, you want to just have $1,800 to play with. And again, every job, whether it's paying or non-paying, it has to equal out to your budget because that's what you have to work with. And we'll get into later on how to make your money back on your budget that you spent. But that's why it's careful not to go over budget.
Next step is to make a shoot schedule. A lot of people that aren't in the film industry think that they just start with the first scene, shoot it, go to scene 2, shoot it, go to scene 3, shoot it. It's not the way you make it. Basically what you do is, if we have 3 locations and our first location is a house, we're gonna shoot all the scenes at that house first. And then we're gonna go to the next location in the woods. Whatever scenes we have in the woods, we're gonna shoot all those in the woods. The next, you have an office. The next scenes, you shoot all the scenes in that office. So that's your 3-day shoot. You got your house, all your scenes, your woods, all your scenes, and your office, all your scenes. And what we like to do is, once we're at that location, we will shoot those scenes pretty much in order if we're able to. If not, then you gotta, move them around, and that's when your script supervisor comes into play to keep everything organized. So what you shot already, what you haven't shot yet. So we're gonna show you an example of a shoot schedule.
All right, so making a shoot schedule. You've got your budget, you've got your actors, you've got your crew, you got your locations. Now let's get organized. So basically, let's say you have 3 locations: house, the woods, and a car. Day 1, whatever you're shooting in the house, you shoot all the scenes that are in that house. You don't want to bounce back and forth from the woods to the house to the car all in one day, because that's the way it's scheduled in the script. That would be ludicrous. So you want to stay towards what your location is and shooting all of that. And it'll make things smoother and easier, and it'll also help with your continuity. And if you don't have a continuity director, you're going to be the continuity director. So you want to make sure Billy and Sally in scene 1 that are wearing jeans and a t-shirt, if they're in scene 2 and it's another room, they're wearing the exact same clothes. It can get confusing, and you may want to almost assign someone to that job. Because if you're directing a low-budget picture, you're probably going to be dipping your hands into a little bit of everything. So if you have one person just directing the continuity, that's going to make things all the easier on your shoot schedule.
One thing that we've done that we find very helpful is once you have your cast and your crew together, you will make a Facebook private group for your movie, and that's the movie page. Anything you want to tell the crew or the cast, you can just post it in this group. You can post your script in there, you can post your schedule in there. Anybody have any questions, they can ask you in the group or private message you. So we found that it's a lot easier to do it this way instead of having to email everybody all these things. You can just post it in the group and everybody will get it. So that's one thing that we suggest is to make a private Facebook group just for your movie. In your movie, people are going to be wearing clothes. So maybe you have an FBI agent that needs to wear a suit and a tie, or you have a sports guy who needs to be wearing athletic clothing. What we do in our movies, again, you got to keep that budget down. We'll either have the cast wear their own clothes. If something's going to get bloody or messed up or dirty, then we'll go out and buy their clothes for them. And we like to hit yard sales, thrift stores like Goodwill, Salvation Army, places like that. We find that the clothing is very inexpensive, and once you spend $2 on it, you don't care if it gets bloody or dirty or whatever. And sometimes we'll even use that as a prop. Our last movie was about cheerleaders, so I went out and got cheerleader uniforms, and in our Indiegogo fundraiser, we auctioned off the cheerleader uniforms, and that helped us, keep budget. So it's a good idea to find wardrobe at thrift stores, yard sales, or have the cast wear their own clothing.
Okay, wardrobe. As Chris stated earlier, if you're on a budget, you want to have your actors wear their clothes, get something at Goodwill, Salvation Army, especially if you're going to wreck it. I like to do a lot of bloody stuff in my movies, so 9 times out of 10, the actors aren't going to want to get their own clothes bloody. Sometimes they do, so I usually buy them a t-shirt or pants or whatever that we know we can wreck on set. And wardrobe too. Remember, this is a low-budget movie, so you want to keep things exciting. You want bright, vibrant colors, no white t-shirts, no basic stuff, and you don't want 2 actors on screen wearing the exact same thing. So you want to keep that in the back of your head when you're buying these clothes. these are how these people are going to be seen. They're going to be up against a green background or a white background. You want to have their clothes opposite whatever their background is, and you want to have their clothes opposite what their co-actor is.
Once you've got your script and your crew and everybody's ready to go, one of the most important things, and it sounds silly, set a start date. So your first shoot date is going to be this day, and work towards that day. If you don't do that, you're just going to keep doing and doing and doing and doing, and you're never going to start. So sit down, look at a calendar with your partners, and say, look, 2 months later, we're starting to cast and get crew and find locations. And this date, we're starting to shoot. That's the first shoot day. And then that'll go into making your shoot schedule. But that is so important because it gives you basically a drop dead date, a deadline to where we're starting on this day, we're not postponing, so work towards it and do it.
Your movie is finished. Now what? You've got it edited. It's ready to be seen. You want to show this thing to the world. So there's a lot of things that you could do, and there's a lot of things that you should do with your movie. A, you never want to sit on a movie. I've seen a lot of directors over the years make a movie and they're afraid to show it to people, and it just sits and collects dust. Don't be like that. Get your movie out there. Now, film festivals are one way to kind of get your movie out there, get some eyes on it. So I would suggest, if that's the route you go with free film festivals. You don't have a lot of budget anyway because you've already spent it on your movie, so you don't want to spend a lot on film festivals that may or may not get you distribution. So distribution. After you make a movie, that's another way. Distribute your movie. You want people to see it, you want to build your brand, you want to keep moving up. So the only way you're going to get there is if people see your movie. So me personally, I like to do what's called self-distribution. So self-distribution, basically, you make copies of your movie or digitally and you sell them yourself. Now personally, I think this is the best way to distribute because you are in complete control of your movie. You know what you can charge for it, you know how much money you're getting back, and there's no middleman putting their fingers in taking something. A lot of times, I'm sure you've heard horror stories about distributors getting your movie, you never get reports back, you never see any money, and there's unfortunately not a whole lot you can do about it. You see your movie out there, they may have gotten it on some platforms, they may have gotten it on physical media, but you're not getting any feedback back. So if you self-distribute, you're in control of all that. Now I've even taken it one step further. I started my own distribution company. So there are companies out there like MVD and Alliance Entertainment that you build accounts with, and they will get your movie on Amazon and FYE and Walmart and Target, and they pay out. So do your research, find out how to get your own distribution started so you can be in control of your own money that comes in. Because that money that rolls in on my first movie, I'm using it to make my 5th movie now. So again, money comes into play when you're doing this. Don't be afraid to keep track of what you're making because you're always going to need that money to make your next project. It's going to get harder and harder to do things for free as you move on. So again, back to self-distribution. You don't need to do what I did and start your own actual distribution company. You just find out where to get copies made, who can author a disc, learn how to do it yourself, and go to conventions. Go to places where you can sell it. Sell it on your social media sites. 10, 20 bucks a piece. And that way you got a product now that you can sell, and you'll start to build your fan base with those copies that you're selling. Film festivals and conventions. Again, back to going to building your brands. Once you have your movie and you have your product and you're ready to take it on the road, do these free film festivals. Do anything local that you can that is either free or cheap to, again, promote yourself. I like to personally go to out-of-state horror film festivals and conventions. You meet other like-minded people, you meet fans that you might have made that you didn't even know about, and you also meet other horror actors that are more popular in the genre that you can sometimes recruit for your movies. I've done it before, it can happen. So again, building your brand, film festivals, conventions, local little meetups. Don't be afraid to put your name out there, and don't be afraid to do it often. The more you put your name out there, the more people that are going to recognize you, your brand, and your films. I try to do at least 2 to 3 conventions a year where I'm selling my movies in a different place. And as time goes on, you'll start to make money at these conventions, and again, that can be used for your budget to keep making movies. It's a constant process that you have to keep turning over. You can't just make one movie and sit on it and hope for the best. If you think about it, most successful directors are directors that have a catalog, not one movie.
Another thing you can do with your film when it's finished is, if you feel like your movie's really good and it's ready to get out into the world, is the American film market. So basically what the American film market is it's a whole bunch of distributors in one place. And those are people that want to buy movies or license movies. And the difference is, if they buy your movie, your rights are over. They pay you money for it and they own it now. Licensing means that they're basically renting your movie from you. They're borrowing it, they're making money, they're giving you a percentage, and then after the end of the contract, you basically get the rights back to your movie. So those are the two different things you can do with the movie. The American film market is in California. It's usually in November, and it lasts like a whole week. But it would be good for you to research more in the American film market if that's something you're interested in doing. And you basically shop your movie to all these distributors, hoping somebody wants to buy it from you.
So again, self-distribution and building your brand and conventions. I started my own convention, Tampa Bay Screams. So at this convention, I sell my movies, my friends sell their movies, and I have a film festival. So it's a great way to promote your brand, meet new people, and have the people that you're friends with meet other people. I started it from the ground up. We're 7 years in, I get a crowd every year. And I use the platforms that I use to sell movies on to promote my convention. It's the same thing. Making a movie and running a convention, you got your actors, you got your actors. You got your fans, you got your fans. It's the same setup. So you charge for them to come in, they meet with other people, they mingle, they buy a few things, and they go on their merry way.
Here's a list of movies that me and Sean have made over the years, and basically it's going to tell you what we've made the movie for and how much we made on the movie.
We've given you the skills that you need to make your movie, market your movie, build your brand, and get it out there. We want to thank you for watching this video, and again, you just have to do it. Don't think, oh, well, I don't have this, I don't have that. Odds are you're not always going to have what you need, and you're going to learn as you go.
You can't wait for everything to be perfect. So indie films are not perfect, and that's the allure of them. That's the charm of them. So go out, make a movie, and if you learn, you're going to be better on the next one, and better on the next one, and better on the next one. So just keep making them. If it's a bad movie, use that as your film school. Making mistakes is not a bad thing as long as you learn from them. So thank you for watching our film school.
Now go out there and make a movie. All right, special effects. If you're making a horror movie, you're probably going to want to do some special effects. And if you're not CGIing, you're going to want to do some in-camera effects. So I'm going to teach you just a couple basic things that'll help you get to where you need to go. All right, the key ingredient in a horror movie, fake blood. So there's a couple of different ways to make fake blood. There's fake blood you can already make. I like to make my own recipe, which is red food coloring and chocolate syrup. It's the blood that you've seen in a lot of 80s movies. It's darker, it's thicker. A lot of times people will use Cairo syrup and red food coloring. That makes clear blood, and I'm not a fan. One of the reasons I got into special effects was I would watch movies and I would just hate the blood. I'm like, there has to be something better. I've seen better, and I did some research, and I found that chocolate syrup and red food coloring seems to make the best effects blood. Now you're probably saying, hey Sean, how much should I use? So it's really hard to gauge how much you should use, so I'm gonna say you're gonna wanna experiment a little on yourself or your friends with this fake blood. You're always gonna need more food coloring than chocolate syrup. And if you want it thicker and darker, obviously you add more of this. So I'm not going to actually make it and make a mess, but you can buy this on Amazon. You can get this at your local grocery store. You can make your own fake blood. So next we have oatmeal. So again, a simple thing you can get at the dollar store, wherever. Oatmeal is great for making brains, guts, and when you mix it with fake blood and you have someone that got shot or, entrails or just some mess, oatmeal is just the simplest thing to just make something gross and easy. Also too, I like to use dough. I don't have any flour with me, but you can make guts out of dough, you can make flesh out of dough. Just make some dough, add some fake blood, and you're good to go. So another little magic trick I like to show you is the old half knife. So they used to do this a lot back in the day. They probably still do it a lot now. I use it a lot in my movies. So basically on screen, you're gonna have someone get stabbed. You show the real knife, and then you show the person getting stabbed with the half knife. You doll it up with some fake blood and some oatmeal, and people are gonna think that that person really got stabbed. Now, if you don't have a means to get a knife cut in this fashion, find a friend or find someone online to A, that can dull a knife, and B, that can cut one in half, because you're gonna need two identical knives to create this special effect. All right, so a little more complicated, we have a human head. Now this is actually my friend Tony's head that we used in Naked Cannibal Campers. So we had a beheading in the movie, and I actually had an effects artist make this. My skills are a little more limited. I can't cast a head and put on the hair, so I have some friends that did it for me, and I actually needed his tongue to be able to be pulled out. So I hired an effects artist to make this, and we used this special effect in the movie. So here's a little secret that I'll tell you that we do too. So I had this head made for Naked Cannibal Campers, but I've used this head in Zed's Dead, and I plan to use it in another movie. You can keep using the same actor and the same head in other movies. You already have it, so it's like, hey, we can have this guy getting his head chopped off again. So sounds kind of corny, but when you're on a budget, you sometimes have to do little tricks like this, put people in different situations and do the same special effect. And you'll kind of you'll get some fans just off of that. You'll say, oh man, there's that guy, he's gonna get his head chopped off. And people will look forward to it in your movies. I know Tony looks forward to it when he works on one of my movies. So again, there are tutorials you can watch online. You can learn just from what I've shown you here. There are books you can read. There's a Tom Savini book that teaches you all about special effects. And there's a lot of things you can do. And it's just like filmmaking, it's experimenting. It's trial and error. Try some things on yourself, try some things on your friends, and you'll develop your own way of doing things, which is what I did. So, special effects.